and welcome to the Visit East Lothian podcast, celebrating all the local beauty, history and culture that makes this part of the world such a special place to visit. This episode, we're getting a taste of one of East Lothian's most exciting cultural events, Fringe by the Sea. 10 days of music, comedy, arts and culture. Nothing combines the bustle of Edinburgh with the beauty of the coast quite like Fringe by the Sea. It's a unique, wonderful festival that's become a staple in the East Lothian calendar. So what goes into putting on a festival of this size?
That blending of the big names with the up-and-coming talent and the local talent is a huge part of what makes Fringe by the Sea such a success.
Joined by Rory Steel, the festival director, keep listening as Gary Spence discovers the secrets and the future of the magnificent Fringe by the Sea.
Hello, I'm Gary Spence and I'm here with those excellent people at Visit East Lothian who do the most tremendous job in promoting one of the most beautiful areas in Scotland, if not the UK. Now, I grew up in and around East Lothian. I remember going to the Dunbar Leisure Pool. I remember growing up around Preston Pans where my relatives were getting the train to Gran and Papas from Edinburgh. And if you stay on that train and you're going past Musselburgh right down the coast, just the most beautiful scenery, you'll eventually get to North Berwick. And of course, one of the biggest events, if not the biggest, every single year is the incredible Fringe by the Sea Festival. And the main man behind it is here. He is Rory Steel. Welcome.
It's great to be here.
I'm going to level with you right now. It's the one that's top of the list of festivals I've not done.
Well, you've got to change that in 2025. Get on that train out to North Berwick and come visit us down at the seaside.
I'm trying to get my head round the sheer breadth of what you guys do. I mean, it's hard enough putting a festival on, but let's do everything.
Well, we are probably kind of the worst kept secret in East Lothian in that everybody come August time just descends on Edinburgh, and we've kind of grown steadily particularly over the last 3 or 4 years to become really quite a big extravaganza. And so it is a year-round job pulling it all together. There's 4 of us in the team that manage it all. But what we've begun to do is produce something that is really very, very special and very unique in that it is a real hybrid of, world-class arts, international artists coming together with wonderful local community activities and little stars that are starting out from little 8-year-old dancers all the way up to octogenarians, blasting away on bagpipes. So that community aspect is a huge part of what we do down there, and that's what gives it is really very special feel.
What do you find the split is? I mean, obviously, as you say, half the world and their dogs come to Edinburgh in August. But in terms of visitors and locals, because I know how big it is for everybody along the coast, what's the split? Have you got any idea?
Yeah, well, we do a visitor survey kind of at the end of the festival each year, and about a third of the people are from around kind of North Berwick, about a third are wider East Lothian, and the final third are from the rest of Scotland and UK primarily.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah. And that's why I've got that lovely community feel, because there is so much support for it locally. And then, people have begun to hear about it, and a lot of people jumping on the train. It's only half an hour out there to come down and see some of the talent that we've got on. And what we try and do as well is programme talent that aren't appearing at Edinburgh. There might be a bit of crossover with the odd author or comedian, but generally speaking, it's a completely different programme to Fringe by the Sea that you would see up in the big festival up in Edinburgh. And so the reputation that we've begun to develop and word of mouth has really spread amongst kind of people, living elsewhere in Scotland and jumping on the train and coming down. But when we look at the festival, we've got about 85,000 people that came this year, 85,000 visits across the 10 days, and about half of those are people who are just coming to enjoy it free, because we have a big free element to the festival. We would just come along, enjoy some stuff on the Lighthouse Live stage, enjoy some of the events in the Wildside tent, which is our environmental zone. We've got a big kids area that's all free, and just hang around and enjoy some of the delicious street food and have a pint, and then the other half are 40-odd thousand ticket buyers that are buying tickets to different events.
It's incredible. I've seen the screen grabs of the lineups for each day, and it's like when you're on an all-inclusive on holiday, which you do with young kids, and it's like, right, 9 a.m, you got yoga, and then you've got more activities in the morning. And I cannot describe, I'm trying to find the best way of getting across, just like I say, the sheer range of what you've got going down. But I don't think I'd be able to. Just looking at the lineup you've had in the last couple of years, with comedians, with the live music element. Now, I've been to festivals for the last 20 years. I remember Rock Nest in 2010 when it was like, oh, there's some comedians on it. But that was almost like if you'll forgive the pun, a wee sort of fringe attraction. Whereas there doesn't seem to be, aside your big headliners, you seem to put as much into and as much importance on every element.
Absolutely, and when it comes to comedy, for example, it's about getting, those wonderful stars, the Adam Hills and the Frankie Balls, but also, this year we had Emma Corbett, Ronnie Corbett's daughter, who came and pulled together a comedy afternoon, 5 mugs, no tea, and it was wonderful to kind of see her up there on stage, very much a local lass, having the whole of the lodge tent just crying with laughter, and so that blending of the big names with the up and coming talent and the local talent is, like I say, a huge part of what makes Fringe by the Sea such a success.
And you weren't there right at the start, so I wanted to know what appealed to you about it, besides the obvious, but also what have you changed and why, or have you just sort of developed things further?
No, you're absolutely right. It was a trio, John, Jane and Eric. Sounds like something from Rainbow.
I was going to say, first bundle.
John, Jane, Eric are well known down in North Berwick as having founded the festival in 2008, and they were a bit like, why should we have to go all the way up to Edinburgh for a bit of culture? Let's, start a few shows down here one weekend during Edinburgh Fringe, and let's just call it Fringe by the Sea, and maybe we can attract a few visitors on the train down as well, and so that's how it kind of began for them. And it was literally a marquee at the back of the Seabird Centre on a piece of grass, and they had a programme that you could fit on a bookmark. Literally the first programme was a bookmark, and they steadily grew that festival over a 10-year period, and after 10 years they had 2 Spiegel tents down in the harbour, which was the old swimming pool for that was filled in, and where boats were parked throughout the rest of the year. Boats are removed, put a couple of Spiegel tents down, and church halls, lots of other spaces around the town, which was used for putting on the event. And what they had was a real passion for music and with some comedy. They worked with Karen Curran up here and bringing some comedians down. And after 10 years, they were like, we're not getting any younger. The town has actually changed. East Lothian had changed. A lot of, new house building projects, a lot of young families coming in. North Berwick itself had grown quite substantially with the house building on the outskirts. And they just felt that, after 10 years, it was time to hand the reins on to somebody else. And through connections, they sort of got in touch with me and said, how would you like to help out? And, I've been running festivals and down south. And
you've done all right, to be fair, Rory. You've done all right with
it. But I couldn't do it without an amazing team that we've got. So there's myself and Jackie Shuttleworth and Debbie Shinton and Ali Wales, who's actually Ali's father's Eric, who founded. So Ali's the one who's been there from the very start.
They've still got skin in the game.
Production, yes.
How much of the success of the festival is about the local community? And of course, and the pictures speak for themselves, especially the ones at night I love, it's beautiful. Yeah, well, location. I've been involved in events for many years, and I've always said that you should want to go to a venue, whether an event is taking place there or not, as to whether you would put an event on there. And North Berwick has that in abundance, and particularly the lodge grounds where we now are. So in 2021 after the COVID years, we moved from the harbour up to the lodge grounds, which is a wonderful park in the middle of North Berwick, which people go straight to the beach and ignore this park. I highly recommend anybody just goes for a wander around. It's beautiful. And so when we moved there, the festival kind of has grown quite substantially, and the community's really helped us grow it in the way that we wanted to grow it, which was with their involvement and with their blessing. And we've got a team of about 70 volunteers that come and do 3 or 4 shifts throughout the 10 days that we're and in the build up, painting sheds and hanging bunting and whatever else, and that is very much part of the welcome that people receive when they come to the event, is that the guys there with the orange t-shirts who are just got big beaming smiles on their face because they're being part of it, and everybody knows what volunteering and what being involved in community activity can do for your mental health and just for the general kind of well-being of the community, and that really kind of shines forth in how guests receive the festival when they come to us, but also and how we get feedback from the people who have been involved in it. And it's wonderful to see other professional people just taking a week's holiday, or joiners, or landscapers saying, what, I'm going to ditch my clients for a week and I'm going to come and help you build the festival, and that's a huge kind of part of what makes it so special. It's the same people coming back year after year to help us deliver it. Well, like you say, location's everything. I'm very lucky to be from a part. I grew up in a part of Scotland that's next to Loch Ness, and Loch Ness worked for that reason. But the range is huge. You do so much and so many things. There's so many aspects to this festival. It's unlike no other. And I just wondered, trying to find a better way of wording this, Where do you even start?
Well, as soon as the festival's over, you begin to start planning for the following year. And like I say, is a kind of a year-round project on bringing it all together. I think one of the big challenges is always kind of keeping one step ahead. We are becoming ever more popular, but we're deeply aware of, how much the town can handle from an infrastructure perspective. Yes, it is a bit disruptive for some people when it comes to maybe some parking issues or whatever. But I think that is hugely outweighed by the benefits that the town gets. I think most people would agree with that. But at the same time, we do have to bring people along on the journey with us. So every kind of September, we'll do a mop-up of how it's all gone. We'll go to the community council and present to them. And then it's about building on, the successes from the previous year into the following year, and what we need to do to keep one step ahead so that we make sure that we have ultimately a very safe environment and a safe event, and one that causes kind of minimal disruption to the neighbours, to the lodge grounds, who they are right on our doorstep, and we do have music that goes on till 11 o'clock at night, so I do get it that some of them maybe find that an inconvenience, but generally most of the town is hugely supportive of it. I think the wonderful thing with East Lothian is just its natural environment. I mean, beautiful coastline, amazing views all the way along. And one of the big part of the programme is our environmental programmings, where there'll be everything from, the rock pool discoveries through to electric bike tours around the coastline, through to Walk the Toon that Dave Berry does every year, where he takes people on a little walking tour of North Berwick and raises money for Lookie House. And so there's lots of little sort of things that we're doing, not just on the festival site, but that shows off the best of East Lothian, and often for charitable causes as well.
Visit East Lothian, of course, are so good at getting the message out there. They sell, they shout, they scream about this beautiful part of Scotland. Fringe by the Sea is very much one of the jewels in that crown. If there was one thing, if you had a magic wand, I'm talking about your dreams for the festival going forward, and I'm not even going to ask you about your favourite artist yet, the one you'd like to book, but what would make things so much easier for you as you continue to build this spectacular festival in North Berwick?
I think one of the biggest challenges every year is funding. We're a not-for-profit organisation, and we're set up like that as a constitution, but actually it's very, very hard to make money in this kind of events industry, as well as many festival organisers in throughout Scotland all testify. It's really, really difficult times for the culture sector. We've been blessed in that we've received some public money from the likes of Event Scotland and other organisations, including North Berwick Trust, who have money to spend on community activities, and so we've been very fortunate to receive funding from those over the years. Some of that is drying up. It's really challenging at the moment. I'm sure probably all seen in the news about challenges faced by Creative Scotland and others, and so making the books balance every year is main part of my job, and that's kind of the responsibility I have on my shoulders, and that's the biggest challenge. Recruiting partners from the commercial space to kind of plug the gap of the public money that is drying up is going to be a big challenge for 2025. But, we have got a wonderful product. East Lothian has a wonderful product, and there are other events that are taking place down there, like the Genesis Scottish Open Golf, which is helping to shine a spotlight on East Lothian. And in fact, we actually did a partnership with the Genesis Scottish Open this year, where we had Fringe by the Tee.
Yes,
see what we did there. Yeah, that's where we get paid to be the big bucks. And that worked wonderfully well in bringing two East Lothian events together to work in harmony and on delivering a great fan experience.
Absolutely, because when it comes to, like I say, one of the most beautiful places in not just Scotland but the world, Visit East Lothian have not got the hardest task when it comes to the golf courses, which are there for the world to see. I'm just looking at the lineup again. The range, I keep using that word, but we've got Hot Chip, which I was very excited to see, with Susie McCabe, and you've got Ash, you've got Idlewild. But I just wanted to ask, when we get down to brass tacks, Rory, what's it like to be able to say, I've met the Jacksons?
Oh, yeah. When you look at legends like that and you've got them coming to your little corner of Scotland, it's like, a huge sense of pride on actually being able to land an act like that. Because people think, it's dead easy, just go and, phone up and make a few phone calls and book them. Well, I'd say for, every one yes you get a star like that, you probably had 20 no's. So,
yeah, of course.
It is a real challenge to kind of get that programming done. So when you've got the Jacksons,
how long went between the confirmation, the ink on the paper, and you being able to tell people? Because that's a big one.
As soon as we get the ink on the paper, we tell people, we get the tickets on sale, and we can't keep it in, And walking down the high street in North Berwick, people are sort of, tapping you on the shoulder every 2 yards and looking you in the eye and, asking who have you got. And so they can tell whether you, tell them.
Watch this space, guys. I think you're going to like this one.
Your eyes are unable to make contact because they know you're hiding something. So no, we're pretty good. As soon as we know and we've got things ink dried, we'll get the tickets on sale because we know people are dead excited as well and want to get things planned and booked in before their summer holidays get packed up.
I've just loved talking about the festival. Like I say, next year is my year. I will be there. I'm going to bring the kids. There's nothing that you don't do at this festival. And that's what I'd say to anyone listening right now as you listen to this series from Visit East Lothian. There is nothing this festival doesn't do or nobody it doesn't cater to, which is quite something to say.
And it's wonderful for kids because it's, incredibly safe environment. So, you're sitting there, you got your wee kids running around and the optics of the site is very open so you can see where your children are running around and having a great time. Whether over in the kids' tent over there or, they're down there at the craft market and spending your hard-earned money. And that's the wonderful thing. It's also free for anybody to come in. So, and we work really hard at keeping ticket prices as low as possible. We know that the comedians that you might see at Fringe by the Sea, if they're appearing at Edinburgh, you're going to see them for probably about 30% less ticket price. Similarly, acts, remember, was it Happy Mondays we had last year, and it was 30 quid a ticket to see them with us, but they were playing Glasgow 2 weeks before and it's 45 quid a ticket. Trying to keep the pricing as affordable as possible. We are not for profit, so we can do that. We don't have shareholders to answer to, which allows us, to make it as accessible as possible because it's all very well, having the wonderful superstars, and we do want to, bring them in, but ultimately they can cost quite a high ticket price just to make the economics of it work. But
they should be paying us to come to East Lothian.
Well, I know. Well,
try putting that to them, Rory.
Well, I think they're trying to get the Jacksons out of East Lothian was half the battle they had this year because they had such a fantastic time. They wanted to stay another night, and we're like, we're so sorry, the hotel's fully booked. They were absolutely sick that they couldn't stay longer. They loved it so much.
I have to ask you, and I've loved this chat. Right, forget budgets, forget funding, forget anything. Okay, Rory Steel, the man behind Fringe by the Sea. If you could book anyone.
Any star, dead or alive, I'm allowed to bring them back from the past.
Well, do you know what? We're being unrealistic to start with. So yeah, let's go back.
Oh God! Well, in that case,
I feel you're going to say Bowie.
Well, Bowie would be up there for sure. Prince was the first ever concert I ever went to Wembley Arena, and I wish I saw him again. He was a total hero. Curtis Mayfield. I've always been a big fan of the kind of the soul and the blues and all that. So some of those Bill Withers and people like that, that place in my musical heart. Bill Hicks, God, I would give my teeth.
We're programming a whole new festival here.
But you have to in another world. But I don't know. I think of the contemporary ones that I would love to get.
No, Rory. I'm asking you for a name. This wasn't meant to be easy. Above all else.
Well, from a very selfish kind of personal point of view.
Yeah, go for it. You've earned it. You make this happen.
Take myself back to, who's been an influence in my sort of musical tastes. Norman Cook, I would say, would be up there. Yep, from House Martin days through to Fatboy Slim.
Absolutely, he was on stage with a guitar at Glastonbury this year. I mean, he's got pedigree, and I tell you what, I bet he'd bloody love East Lothian. Yeah,
Billy Connolly. I mean, I know he's obviously ill health's getting to him, but he's listening to him in his banana boots on the car radio, stereo when I was a wee boy.
Norman Cook on the main stage and Billy Connolly in the comedy tent. I mean, you're not going to get much better than that, are you?
Well, that would be a dream ticket. And Damon Albarn, why not get him next year for the Oasis who are going to be playing up in Murrayfield? We'll get Damon Albarn.
That's a genius idea. Bit of mischief making.
Exactly.
Well, either way, we know it's going to be fantastic. We salute you and your team. Thank you for speaking to us in this Visit East Lothian podcast series. And Rory Steel, Fringe by the Sea, long may you live.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Thanks for listening to the Visit East Lothian podcast. Make sure to rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and check out our other episodes as we explore East Lothian's vibrant film industry, agritourism and some of the area's best loved tourist spots.
You cannot beat a wander around proper wee shops.
You can't. And I've taken my grandkids and the first place they head to, of course, when we arrive is the Sugar Mountain.
A proper sweetie shop. Chocolate limes all the way.
That's next episode on the Visit East Lothian podcast.